But give us the emotion. I mean, obviously you had a long wait tonight, right? You got to sit there and watch everything else play out, but you got the deal that you were seeking. So what's the emotion right now?
I mean, I'm over the moon. I still haven't come down off of it. I'm just, I'm super excited.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, it was really, I guess, the only uncontested finish, right? I mean, it was clear. So, I mean, did you think at the time you got the result, like, hey, I'm definitely in right now?
It's hard to think I didn't want to jinx it. I know that sounds silly, but I was like, okay, I did get the finish, and that's a big, thing for, winning the contract. But I was like, there's still a chance that it just wasn't enough. So I just hoped and prayed.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, you were tested a little bit, right? I mean, she did land a couple of big shots. I mean, do you take any pride in that, though? I mean, is that a good thing to show, hey, like I can be pushed and respond to it, or would you always prefer to go out there and dominate?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of pride. There's always a little bit of pride in having toughness, as long as it's just not stupid toughness. But yeah, I felt like she's a phenomenal striker, and the fact that I can go in there and stand with her, take some of those shots, and give some of those shots back, I feel like it speaks to how far my striking's come.
Yeah. You mentioned your Invicta pedigree and kind of the experience that you got there, kind of at the highest level in the all-women's promotions. I mean, where do you feel like you fit in the UFC right away? Like, does having that much experience mean that you should be viewed as an immediate contender, or do you feel like you start from the bottom and you have to build up?
I mean, I feel like I'm a contender, but, I'm willing to prove whatever I have to prove, It's whatever the UFC wants to put in front of me, whoever, I'm ready to fight them. I've been at this, and I've never had a bum. If you go back and look at my record, I've had no bums. I've fought for Invicta. I've had 2 fight of the nights, 1 performance of the night. I've had some tough girls. I've had undefeated girls. This is not my first undefeated girl that I've gone in the cage with and stole an O from. So, I'm ready to keep proving I'm always the underdog, and I keep proving people wrong, and I'm glad to do it.
Nice. Last thing for me, there might not be an opponent that you have in mind for UFC debut. It sounds like you'll fight whoever. But if there is, please let us know. But is there an ideal, like a date? I mean, do you see, do you want to get through the holidays, or would you take a short notice? I mean, what's ideal for you to make your debut? I
mean, I took this fight short notice, so I think I kind of deserve some holiday time. But, if they call, they call. I'm willing to take whatever.
Yeah. Congratulations on the win. What can you try and explain to us what the emotion is like sitting there listening to Dana discuss your fight, and sort of for everyone tonight he sort of started off with slower tones as if he wasn't really that impressed. What's it like listening to that and the internal feeling you're going through, hearing that he might give you it, he might not give you it?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a little roller coaster ride, because when he came out and said, well, her opponent was one-dimensional, I just kind of dropped inside, and I was like, well, crap, But I'm glad he saw that wasn't my fault that she was one-dimensional, and I finished her. And I truly believe if you're a one-dimensional fighter, I'm going to finish you. You're not gonna walk through me if you've got holes in your game. I'm going to expose them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Obviously came to get it done, got it done. Took a little bit to get it, but what's the emotion like right now that you have the UFC deal?
It feels good, man. It feels really good. Typically, I'm my biggest critic. My last fight, I was salty for days afterwards, so I promised my wife no matter how I got the win that I'd be in good spirits. So I'm really at peace with it tonight. So I feel good about it.
But are you earnestly living up to that promise, or just because you made it to her?
No, I really feel good about tonight. So
very nice.
It went well.
What was it about the performance that you did? Because it was a tough guy. He was a highly respected, undefeated fighter as well. It was kind of a grinding type fight. But what did you take out of it?
I did more grappling than I really wanted to. I knew that I was going to be in some grappling exchanges with how many takedowns he went for the last fight, which I was more than ready for. I've been wrestling my entire life. I had success with the stand-up, but it was kind of hard to get out in the open because he kept initiating the clinch. But, in a perfect world, I would have kept it standing more so. But it is what it is.
Is that tough? Because, we know what this series is about, right? You have a great record, a great winning streak. You fought a great fight, but do you have to worry, but is that the fight that Dana was looking for? Is that going through your mind as the fight's playing out?
Not so much this time around. In September, I put so much pressure on myself coming out, trying to get that finish. And it was honestly to my detriment. My first round was way too timid. And I started catching on later on, but I truly feel if I would have started the first like I did the second in September, I would already be signed at this point. But No, I mean, I came in this fight with no extra pressure on myself, and my coaches were really forcing me to just be present and not force anything, and we came out on top tonight.
You're obviously in an incredibly deep division. Where do you feel like you fit in? I mean, like you said, you've got a better record than guys in the UFC, and this is impressive winning streak. So, I mean, do you feel like you're starting at the bottom and working your way up, or do you feel like maybe you belong a little higher up the pole?
Whatever fights get me closer to that belt, I'll take. I got in this sport with the sole goal and vision of being a UFC world champion. Most of my professional fights have actually been down at 45, and I've been walking around significantly lighter. So I think that'll be the move. I really got to address this injury that I have. So going to be getting an MRI when I get back home to Baltimore and go from there. But I think my future is honestly at 45 from here on out.
Fair enough. And ideally, when would that take place? I mean, what do you see for your debut? Is there a date that you circle on the calendar or a name that you want to see on the other side? What would you like to do in your debut?
No, I think I just need to get with my physical therapist, get with the doctor, see what's up with this, because this injury that I came in with has been quite nagging, so I really want to nip it in the bud before it turns into something super annoying.
Are you able to share what it is, or is it?
It's a cartilage issue kind of in my chest, and it really started flaring up 4 weeks ago. I actually took the last 3 weeks of camp off of grappling, so early in the second we were doing some exchange on the cage, and it really started flaring up. So it's nothing broken, but it's just really annoying.
Hey man, similar question to what I just asked. Again, Dana, when he started speaking about your fight, I sort of got the tone he wasn't going to give you a contract. Were you just sitting there gutted, thinking I can't believe this happened again, or did you just have to sit and how are you feeling?
I was nervous, but it was a dogfight. I thought it was a grindy fight, which I don't prefer, but they're fun every now and again. So I was at peace with what happened, and if I got the contract or not, it was a good showing. So
does that help you? Do you think mentally? You mentioned the pressure you put on yourself in the first fight. To be able to come in, walk out of the cage and think, well, look, whatever happens, I'm still proud of my performance. Do you think that's a sign of mental growth from your first time here?
Yeah, I think so for sure. It's a sign of maturity and, like you say, growth and just being happy with the results. It's a crazy gig what we have. Not a lot of people are able to do this, and a lot of people would kill to be able to do this. So at the end of the day, you got to give yourself a pat on the back every once in a while.
Congrats, man.
Thanks. Thanks, y'all.
Gloria, congratulations. We saw you smiling in the cage. You're certainly smiling now.
Yeah.
So what's the emotion like for you right now?
Oh, I'm really happy. I was having fun all the time inside the octagon, and I'm here to enjoy all the moments.
Very nice. It was a dominant performance from you, but the very start, when you got slammed to the floor,
Yeah. It was a beautiful takedown.
It was a beautiful
Yeah.
takedown. What was going through your head? Were you like, how did I end up here?
I was like, oh, congratulations, it was beautiful. But I was really calm. I have improving my game in the ground, so I was really confident.
Yeah, very nice. And didn't get the submission, but obviously once it got back to the feet, you looked fantastic on the feet.
Thank you.
But you hit her with a lot. Was there any part of you that was getting frustrated or even tiring a little bit because she was taking so much damage from you?
Yeah, she's really tough. I threw some very strong knees, and I was like, oh my God, she's not falling. But I was, I keep going, and I was trying to finish the fight, but I couldn't. But I was really happy.
When you got done, because we know Dana wants to see finishes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Did you think I did enough, or were you sure?
I was a little nervous because I couldn't finish her, but I believe it was a very strong performance, and I was happy and just waiting.
Is it? I mean, you're still very early in your MMA career, right?
Yeah.
Is it concerning at all that you're going to have to kind of learn at the highest level of the sport?
I believe I'm ready for this. I'm improving my game and my skills, and I think I'm gonna do very great.
Very nice. Well, your division is quickly becoming very exciting in the women's division.
Yeah.
What do you see for your debut? Are there names that you see? Is there a date you see? What do you see for your UFC debut?
Actually, I was so focused on my contract, and now it's up to Dana.
was just wondering if you could put into words what this entire experience has been like for you, and then to just sit there knowing you are now in the UFC, what does that make you feel?
I'm very happy and grateful for this hard working I've been doing is finally paid off. So I'm really happy and ready to go back to the gym and to make my debut.
Oi, Gloria, Diego, da GFight.com. Primeiro, fazer em português, tá? Eu queria que você analisasse como foi a luta tecnicamente. Primeiro assalto, ela te deu uma queda cinematográfica, né?
Sim.
Enfim, mas e com o decorrer da luta você dominou bastante, principalmente em pé. Como é que você analisou a sua performance?
Bom, eu sabia que ela viria com um judô impecável, que é o forte dela, mas eu estava pronta para qualquer situação. Eu sou muito agressiva e técnica, então eu acho que eu consegui mostrar isso dentro do octógono. E eu estou muito feliz com todo o trabalho que minha equipe e eu fizemos.
O que faltou ali para você acabar com a luta antes do final, do tempo regulamentar?
Eu acho que ela é bem forte, ela aguenta bastante porrada. Acho que faltou mesmo pelo lado dela de aguentar, porque eu soltei vários golpes bem potentes, então acho que faltou um detalhezinho ali.
O fato do Contender Series priorizar atletas que vencem a luta ou por finalização ou nocaute, em algum momento você chegou a temer, não conseguiu o contrato por causa disso?
Sim, eu estava um pouco nervosa com a situação. Eu fiquei mais nervosa depois da luta do que antes. Mas eu sabia que tinha sido uma performance bem legal. E o Dana também, quando eu saí de lá, ele me deu os parabéns, falou que foi uma luta muito dura. Então eu estava confiante.
Você, aos 25 anos, apenas é a 7ª luta profissional, se eu não me engano, né? O que você acha que você traz de novo para essa categoria do UFC? Como você avalia o peso palha?
Bom, eu acredito que eu tenho tudo para dar um show na categoria e mexer dentro da categoria ali, estar logo no topo, que eu sou agressiva e técnica, então eu acho que eu tenho tudo para tudo que o UFC quer.
Na transmissão, ali depois da luta, quando ele foi anunciar o seu contrato, o Dana mencionou essa lutadora, eu acho que vai ter algo especial.
Sim.
Como foi ouvir isso do
Nossa,
agora patrão?
foi sensacional. Não poderia querer escutar coisa melhor. Fiquei muito feliz.
Para finalizar, então, quando você acha que você está pronta para voltar? O que em mente, quando você lutaria? E talvez até algum adversário em mente?
Bom, adversária vou deixar para o Dana escolher, mas eu estou pronta, eu saí sem nenhum arranhão, então, quando ele quiser, eu estou pronta.
Última coisa, manda um recado para os fãs do Brasil que vão te ver.
Aê, Brasil! Queria agradecer todo mundo pelas mensagens, energia positiva. Agora mais uma para o Esquadrão Brasileiro. Vamos levar a bandeira aí, estilo shootbox, e vamos lá, dar show.
JB, it's been a long journey for you to get here. I mean, I imagine you've been thinking about this moment for a long, long time. So what's going through your head right now?
Man, like you say, it's been a long moment. It's been 3 years of grind, struggling to get fights, trying to go fight all over the world, but being a South African and with the passport I hold, it's been really difficult to get visas to actually travel to go compete. So that's one of the main reasons I've been pretty inactive as a 24-year-old fighter. You know, I'm sitting with a 9-2 record. I would be liking to have like 20 fights already, but I'm really happy to be signed to the biggest promotion in the world, and hopefully I can get a run now where I get 3-4 fights in a year.
You mentioned, all the hurdles you had. So I wonder, after you were this close the first time around and then you have to really grind your way back, I mean, was there any point that you thought about giving up? I know you're still young, but to just say, there's so many problems, this is just not going to happen for me.
No, there was no point of giving up, The type of person I am, if I start something, I go until the wheels fall off. I mean, that's the way I got my wife, that's the way I do my career, that's the way I train. If I put my mind on something, that's the something I do, and there's no other distractions other than that.
Yeah. We'll talk about the finish in a moment. I just want to ask about kind of the fight as a whole. I mean, I thought, as Dana said, you looked fantastic. You had him in a lot of bad spots. I mean, were you shocked that you weren't able to get the finish before it happened?
I think the problem I had is my coach, Coach Saif, great coach, best coach in the world, but he kept saying to me, I don't want you to get too cold. I don't want you to get too cold. But the fight before me is heavyweights, and I'm like, hey, heavyweights, it happens like this. One guy goes to sleep, I'm up. So he told me I usually have a blanket around me and I stay warm, but I feel like I got a little bit too cold by the time I got called into the fight. So when I got there, I was like, I could feel my eyes felt a little bit lazy and I was cold. So when I got to him and we actually made contact and I had him on the floor, I was like, man, this guy is physical, like he's strong. And it took me a little bit to get going, but once I got my sequences flowing, like anything I do is in a sequence. I don't just go for one thing. One thing is a kind of a domino effect to the next thing. So I did catch him in a lot of things, but I feel like if I was more warm going into the fight, it would have been there like on the first one.
So coach was right, is what you're trying to say.
Coach is always right. The coach is never wrong.
Let's talk about the end of the fight. Certainly, it's not your job to call it off. You just had him in the guillotine and held it. But what can you tell us? It sounds like you heard maybe him gargle or snore a little bit. I mean, could you feel his body limp? I mean, what did you at least see, feel, hear from your point of view?
Like I just said to you, when me and him made contact in the fight, everything I went for, he kind of like muscled out and he was able to survive. He's really physical. But in that exact submission, when I had him, I didn't have much time left, but when I had him, I squeezed, it was on. He was goggling. The goggle went from a kind of like goggling voice to a snoring voice, and then there was no, like his arm was in, but there was no tension or anything pushing into my arm. It was just limp. Like he didn't do anything, and the snoring voice. And then when the ref grabbed him and shook him, shook. I think maybe the ref woke him up. I don't know. I think the ref did.
Well, regardless, you're in the UFC now, so that's what matters. What's the ideal scenario for your debut? I mean, do you want to fight on a car with your wife? Do you want to have a date in mind? Do you have an opponent in mind? I mean, what makes sense for you?
Opponent-wise, I do not have anyone in mind. I mean, the division is pretty stacked. There's a lot of new guys that got signed throughout the Contender series. I'll fight whoever my coach wants me to fight. He's my manager. They speak with him. He speaks with me. We take any fight. And regards of fighting, my wife got injured, so she's out for the rest of the year. I'm healthy. God has blessed me. I've had an 11-week camp, no injuries, not sick once. Did 125 sessions since September till tonight. And, I mean, that's by the grace of God. How can I not have gotten tired, broken down, or injured? I've just been blessed. And, I mean, fighting on a card with my wife, that would be a perfect date night. You know, that's 2 paychecks for us. After we get to go eat all the donuts and pizza we want without feeling bad, either of us. But yeah, while she's out, I would like to be the breadwinner for my family. I would like to fight maybe one more time this year. I mean, I can fight the bigger guys at bantamweight, but I'm a real flyweight. I was arguing with my coach, but he told me that, hey, you a flyweight? I listened to him, and there's no way I'm going to argue with him at all. So I would like to fight at flyweight. So maybe something can happen and I can have a fight in December 19th, the last card of the year. I have some killer teammates on that card, and it would be an honor for me to train, prepare, and fight alongside them. I mean, they're the people that helped me get here today, so I would like to help them and myself get another win for our team.
Just one from me. Were you nervous about the finish and if that would affect Dana's opinion of you after the fight?
You know, I think the night played in my favor. There wasn't the most exciting fights, and like Dana said, in the short amount of time that the fight did last, I showed him a lot of different skills, a lot of different things, and that impressed him, you know. I'm not a boring fighter. I don't go in there to try just lay on a guy. But this time I had to kind of set things up to get where I wanted to be. And once the ref said, stop, I was like, okay, I got the win, but I saw Dana get up, and Jacob, he was pretty upset. And I guess if that was a different situation and I was in that position, I would have been upset too. when I saw Dana walk away, I was like, man, I don't know what's going to happen, but I got the win. I'm getting the win check. And if he didn't sign me tonight, I knew that I would have gotten another opportunity. But I know with what I delivered tonight, it was pretty entertaining.